friends, welcome to this tutorial for the mini Basketweave Christmas crochet baby blanket pattern. This pattern features the mini Basketweave stitch, also known as the rice stitch, which alternates front post double crochets and back post double crochets to create a great textural project that also produces these lovely color changes with a woven effect. So we'll go ahead and get started. All you need for the tutorial is some worsted weight yarn. I used Caron Simply Soft for the pattern, and that is what I will be using today. I'm just going to demonstrate in 3 colors, but the pattern calls for 5. It also includes a pink and a lighter green. And then you will need a 5mm crochet hook. So go ahead and make your slip knot and put the yarn on the hook. For this tutorial, for this stitch, you can chain any odd number. If you are making the baby blanket pattern, you would chain 91. But all of the details for the pattern are linked at my blog, which is the link is in the description of the video. And you can find all the details there. It's free on my website, dananeal.com. And you can just search Basketweave or Christmas. Either search term will pull the pattern right up. So for this tutorial, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to chain 9. Then for row 1, you're going to half double crochet in the second chain from hook and in each stitch across. So I always like to go in the back bump when I'm working into the starting chain. So what that means is if I hold the chain like this facing me, the stitches, you see the V's, but if you turn it towards yourself, now you can see these back bumps. Those are the stitches I like to work into because it produces such a nice clean edge and it makes it a lot easier to work our border pattern. So the first bump from the hook is right here. It would be tricky to work into. The yarn tail tends to cover it. We are looking for the second bump here. So go ahead, yarn over, insert your hook in that stitch, pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. There's your half double crochet. Now I mentioned at the start of the video that this basket weave stitch, this mini basket weave stitch, is comprised of front post double crochets and back post double crochets. So why are we doing a row of half double crochet to start the pattern? Well, for some reason, if you started row 1 just with double crochets across, row 2, when you begin your post stitches, the posts look extra tall. And I don't understand that phenomenon personally. Maybe somebody can explain it to me, why the posts look extra tall in row 1, but then they don't beyond that. But anyway, if you start with half double crochet, the post stitches look the same height as the subsequent rows. So we could talk more about that. You should end with an even number of stitches. Let's double check just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sweet. All right, and whatever amount of stitches you have in this first row, that'll be the same number throughout. So in the pattern, it's 90 stitches that you will have each row throughout. So if you ever feel the need to count to double check, you can. I don't think counting is massively necessary with this pattern because, well, I'll get into that more in a row or 2. So go ahead and chain 1 and turn. Now, row 2, we're going to double crochet in the first stitch. So if anybody needs a refresher, you yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop. So it starts just like the half double crochet, but instead of pulling through all 3, we'll just pull through, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Slightly taller stitch, 1 more step. That's a double crochet. Now we are going to front post double crochet in the next stitch. So If I hold this a lot closer to the camera so you can see this somewhat dark yarn a little more clearly, instead of going into the top of the stitch, which is typical for an ordinary double crochet, we are going to isolate the post of this stitch below. And we're going to bring it towards us. We're going to bring it forward to the front. And that is where we get the term front post double crochet. So go ahead and yarn over. Insert your hook around that post, making sure it's pushed to the front towards you. Yarn over and pull up your loop. 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. And now this stitch really pops compared to this ordinary double crochet we did right next to it. That'll become even more clear as we work more stitches and more rows. So let's keep going. Now we did a front post double crochet. Next, we're going to do a back post double crochet. So in a back post double crochet, we are pushing the post backwards away from us. And these terms are all relative to however you are holding the work. So if I was over here, this is a back post double crochet now. But since this is the side facing me, here's a front post double crochet. Now we're going to make a back post double crochet by bringing our hook in from the back, pushing that post backwards, and completing our double crochet. So let's take a look at that. So we'll yarn over, insert our hook from the back around that post, again pushing it backwards, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we'll look at these 2 stitches several more times. But now we can see with this back post double crochet, it is pushed to the back. It's kind of hidden behind the top of this stitch. And now this front post double crochet is like really popping because the back post double crochet is tucked to the back. Now you're going to repeat this across until you get to the last stitch of the row. So front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and onward until you get to the last stitch of the row. Let's do another front post double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, push this stitch towards you to the front, again always relative to the way you're holding the project, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got this great texture already. Next one, back post double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook from the back. Oop, let me show that better. So your hook from the back around the post, pushing it backwards away from you. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and complete your double crochet. Next, we're doing another front post double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook around that post, pushing it to the front towards you. Pull up a loop, complete the double crochet. And now I'm going to do a back post double crochet, inserting your hook from the back and then pushing that post to the back. Pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 1 stitch left in the row. And we're going to end it with a double crochet. So simply double crochet in that last stitch. Looks a little bit like this guy is jutting out, but that is okay. We will have a border on this and we'll be good to go. So there is our first row. Alternating front post and back post stitches. So I mentioned, if you need to count your stitches each row, but you shouldn't have to because you've got some helpful hints. For example, you are always starting a row and ending a row with a regular double crochet. And then the row is front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, back post. So you should know if you started that row with a front post, you should be ending with a back post, and vice versa. We'll get to that in the next row. And then you're always flanking with regular double crochets. But this will be easier to see after another couple rows. So chain one and turn. Now in row 3, we're going to yarn over and make our double crochet in the first stitch. Then we are going to do a back post double crochet in the next stitch and a front post double crochet in the stitch after that. So it's the opposite of row 3 in that way, where we're starting with a back post, then doing a front post. So here is this post stitch from the previous row. That was a back post double crochet. We had pushed it to the back. Now it looks like a front post double crochet. So going forward, think to yourself, I want to push the front post double crochets to the back, bring the back post double crochets forward. So we're going to do a back post double crochet to start. Yarn over, insert from the back around that post, pull up your loop, and complete your double crochet. Next, we're doing a front post double crochet. So this guy is pushed towards the back, which means we want to bring it forward. So yarn over, insert your hook around that post, bringing it to the front, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, and onward. So we're going to yarn over, we're working this back post double crochet into what, for our purposes, looks like a front post double crochet. Complete the double crochet. And then we're bringing this stitch forward. It's tucked back, we're going to bring it forward. All right, just a couple stitches left in the row. We've got one more back post double crochet to work. And then a front post. Then we're just working an ordinary double crochet into that last stitch. So find the top of the stitch, find your V, and complete that last double crochet. All right, so the pattern's starting to show forward, show through a little bit more. A little bit more. What do we say? Let's change colors. I'll show you how to change colors. So, oh boy, I dropped something. I'll deal with that later. So we'll go ahead and snip that off. And how about we join the white? This red, unfortunately, is showing up on camera a lot darker than I thought it would. I don't know why I thought it would. I don't know, it doesn't look that dark to me in real life, but here we are. I'll try to brighten it up a bit so it's easier to see when I actually publish this video that you will be watching. But in the meantime, the white I think will be a little, or the cream will be a little easier to see. So that might help the design really pop as we continue this tutorial. So to join a new color, my personal preference is to totally complete that last stitch, loop the yarn over your hook, leaving a plenty long tail, at least 6 inches, so you can weave it in later, and pull it through, just like you're completing a chain stitch. Tighten up that yarn you left behind, and look at how that loop almost disappeared that we had. It's just nice and snug, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now for the rest of the pattern, we're repeating rows 2 and 3. So this is now our row 2. We'll double crochet in the first stitch, just right in the top of it. Now, I don't even have to look at the pattern to know that I need to start with a front post double crochet, because this stitch is pushed to the back. Like the one next to it's really popping out. This one's pushed to the back. I want to bring it forward because we're kind of always doing the opposite. And we're bringing the back post double crochets to the front and pushing the front post double crochets back. So yarn over, grab that post, and complete your double crochet. Now we're doing a back post. Yarn over, push that one to the back, and complete the double crochet. And you can already see that first little pop of color. That's going to give us that gorgeous woven effect. Go ahead and do your front post double crochet in the next stitch, and back post double crochet in the next stitch. Front post double crochet, and back post double crochet. And for the last stitch of the row, we're always ending with an ordinary double crochet. All right, let's take a look at this now that we've joined a new color. How fun are these pops of color right here? And they'll really, I think they'll even pop out more when we do another row or two. And so now we just continue along. So chain 1 and turn, double crochet in the first stitch. Now we're back to a repeat of row 3, but once again, without even looking at the pattern, I know I gotta start with the back post double crochet because this post is to the front from my vantage point and I want to push it back. And then the next one, that back post double crochet, needs to come to the front, and so on and so forth. So I think this pattern is quite easy to memorize. Even though it's a 2-row repeat, I think it feels a lot like a, did I just skip a stitch? I sure did. Start that over. I was saying, even though it's a 2-row repeat, it really feels like a 1-row repeat, in that I could have almost written the instructions to like front post double crochet into any back post double crochets, back post double crochet into any front post double crochets, and then start and end each row with an ordinary double crochet. All right, so getting to this last stitch of the row, you'll just double crochet in the last stitch, And again, if you're ever not quite sure, like, wait, is that the last stitch? Is that not? You can cross check and say, well, I started this row with a back post double, well, after my first double crochet, I began with a back post double crochet. So I should be ending with a front post double crochet before that last ordinary double crochet. So if we just cover up our border stitches for a minute, there's our back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, front post. Okay, so I know I'm good. I can end with my ordinary double crochet. If you find that like you started and ended the row with front post double crochets, again excluding your kind of border stitches here, then you'll know, ooh, maybe you skipped a stitch somewhere, or added a stitch somewhere, or accidentally worked a front post double crochet into a front post double crochet, or vice versa. So I'm gonna do a few more rows of this just to get a nicer sized swatch. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll talk about the border. All right, so here's a couple more rows in these Christmas colors. Turns out this looks a bit like the Italian flag, so hello Italian friends if anybody is watching from Italy. But you can see these pops of color. They look very bold right now, this woven effect you get when you change colors. It will look less bold in the context of a bigger blanket. So just wanted to show one more color in there so you could see those pops of color. The pattern is written so that you're always working an even number of rows so that your little color pops stack on top of each other nicely. I just think it looks neat that way. So let's go ahead and talk about our border. The border is also done in the mini basket weave / rice stitch, but it is done in the round and it's done just a pinch differently. So we're going to go ahead and fasten off. You can see all of our ends are on the same side. This shouldn't be on this side, your tail. That should be on the opposite side, but I did 3 rows to start just to practice here. So that's why this tail is on the same side, but all of your other tails will be on the same side if you're doing an even number of rows in the color changes like I did. So the border is worked right side facing. What side is the right side? It doesn't matter because it's a reversible pattern. So I'm just gonna pick a side. I like to pull up the loop of yarn in the upper right hand corner. I like to keep my borders joined in the corner so that I do not lose track of where I'm at. It's a preference of mine so that I don't accidentally, I start my round in the middle of an edge or something and then I end up accidentally increasing and it like bubbles, and I have a hard time with that, and so I like to keep my seam in the corner because then I know exactly where I'm at. So what you're going to do, you'll pull up that loop of yarn and then chain 1 to attach it. Then we're going to work a single crochet in the same corner. So just go ahead and single crochet. And our first round of the border is going to be a single crochet round. The first round of just about any border I do is a single crochet round to give us a good solid foundation for all the rounds after that. So you're going to single crochet across. Actually, let me pause. We're actually doing 2 single crochets in that first corner. And so, let me see here. I'm going to put a stitch marker in that very first stitch, and that's marking the first stitch of the round. Oh, slowly but surely. And then we're going to do a second single crochet in that corner. Now, single crochet across. Except somewhere in the middle, we're going to increase. Why? This pattern calls for an even number of stitches across, but the border, each side of the border needs an odd number of stitches for the border to work. So we need to increase somewhere in the middle. If you have never increased before, don't fear, because it's very easy. Let's do it right now. First, we're going to single crochet in a stitch, and then we're going to put another single crochet in that stitch. Behold, you have increased. Very simple. We'll do it again on the bottom. All right, now we're approaching our corner. In the corner, we're going to work 3 single crochets, placing a stitch marker in the middle single crochet. So I've done 2 so far. Get the rest of my stitch markers out. And one more. Now in the pattern, I give you the suggested stitch counts for each edge. So you could probably, if you could do some quick math, we had 8 stitches for this little swatch. Now there should be 9 single crochets across the top, excluding our marked corners. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We never count the corners in our stitch counts. And for this swatch, we're going to aim to place 11 stitches along the sides, because that is, I did some quick math in the break there, and that should give us a border that lies flatly. I have found that simply trying to feel it out and place stitches kind of wherever, it never ends well for me. I have to do math, which is why I've done the math for you guys as well. In all my patterns, I give you suggested stitch counts for the sides. All right, so as you're working the sides, to always try to get in between the stitches instead of like going around the post of a stitch, because if you go around the post, let's do that right here, you're going to create a bigger hole, and it looks nicer if you don't have those big holes along the sides. At least that's my preference. If you don't agree, you can let me know. But I think it looks better if you just go in the middle of a stitch, pull up a loop or 2 from there, and it won't give you those eyelets. Try to do that without splitting the stitches, ideally, but we'll do what we can for the sake of time in the video tutorial. Let's see here. And then something you can do is, well, what I would recommend you do, because this is a blanket, it's going to be probably roughly handled to some degree, especially by little kids if you're making a baby blanket. Tie these ends into a knot before weaving them in. I'm not going to show weaving in ends in this video, but I wanted to give that tip. And any knots from tying your colors together will be hidden in the border anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. See how many stitches I'm up to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I probably could have placed more stitches along the side. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're approaching that corner, which, if you get to this part and you're like, where is my first stitch of the corner? It's possible your starting slip knot got pulled a smidge tight. So if you just loosen that bad boy up a bit, just give it a tug. If you have long nails, that's helpful. Behold, there is our loop. All right, and that should be number 11. Fabulous. 3 single crochets in the corner. Mark the middle one. And there's one more. And then remember how we went into the back bumps when we did our starting chain? Look at how beautiful this edge is and how clean that is and how it looks like the top of an ordinary row that you're working into. So it makes it super easy to identify your stitches It will likely be a smidge tighter than if you were just working into the top of double crochets, but a lot easier, I think, to identify the stitches you're working into compared to working into a different part of the starting chain. Let's go ahead and increase. So here's our first stitch, and we're just working another single crochet in the same spot. All right, and then in your corner you'll do your 3 single crochets again. Actually, see, this corner is a little fiddly. This is that one that's jutting out. So I'm going to make sure I'm doing this into the right spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, yep, this is our corner. It could have been tricky to think, oh, this might be our corner stitch, but nope, we've already found it. So that was the first single crochet in that corner. Here's our second. And our third. All right, I'll put my remaining 10 single crochets along this edge and we'll meet back at the corner. All right, there's one more stitch I need to place, and that is in the starting corner, which will be my 11th stitch of the row. And so you'll just go into the base of where you had started before to place that final single crochet. So working 2 single crochets at the start into that corner and then placing our third there to complete our 3 single crochets in the corner keeps our seam in the corner. Now we'll just slip stitch join to our marked first stitch of the round. All right, round 2. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to work a double crochet into this corner. Move the marker, up, because this is our new first stitch of the round, and we are going to double crochet across. So it's a little hard to see because we worked this guy here. So you can see it's under this loop. We already worked that. So this is the next stitch we're going into. So double crochet in each stitch across. And then in our corners, we'll do something just slightly different. Instead of placing 3 stitches in the corner like we did in that first round, we're going to start working some chain spaces in our corners instead. And the chain spaces look super nice with this border. All right, so we're going to go double crochet all the way to the corner. So here's our marked corner. Double crochet into that. Then you're going to chain 2. And I like to mark my chain 2 spaces. Some folks probably won't think that's necessary because they're a little easier to isolate, in my opinion. I mean, quite a bit easier. Like, look at that big hole, right? They're easier to isolate than the middle stitch of 3 in the corner, but I would rather have no guesswork. I would rather go, okay, I know I work into that corner, and I'll just move on in future rounds. All right, and then you'll just continue doing that. You'll double crochet in each stitch and do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner. I will meet you at the start to show you how to finish off the round before moving on to round 3. All right, I am near the end of this round, and I wanted to just show this corner here because sometimes it can be a little difficult to tell where your last stitch is to work into before you know you're back at the corner. So I have, excluding my marked corners, 12 stitches right now, which means I know I need one more stitch to get that odd number. So we are working that right here. This is our chain one that began the following round, and we know this is our first stitch of the round. So I just wanted to show that because it can be a little tricky. You can mark your last stitch of the round as well if you find that helpful. I didn't do that on this video because, well, frankly, I don't have any more stitch markers next to me. They're all in other projects right now, but also just for the sake of being a little more efficient, I didn't mark that. So, all right, now when you're at the starting corner, let's take a look just real quick. Look at our pretty round 2 with our lovely double crochets. Remember how there was like a little bump right here that was jutting out? It's totally hidden now in the border, and not just hidden, but stretched out properly so that it lies correctly. Anyway, at this start, instead of doing a chain 2 in the corner, we're only going to do a chain 1 and then slip stitch join. Why? Because I'll show you in the next round. So chain 1, and then for round 3, we are going to double crochet backwards into this corner, into this chain 1 corner. That continues to keep our seam in the corner, and it looks, in my opinion, more polished that way. It's a little different if you've never worked backwards into the corner like that, but you've been doing front and back post double crochets. It's easier than you think. So yarn over and simply just reach that hook back there to your space, your chain 1 space. Get your 3 loops on the hook and complete your double crochet. Oh boy, I really split these stitches big time though, so complete that double crochet even if it's a little fiddly. All right, here we go. And then I'm gonna just move my stitch marker on up. So because we're working backwards into the chain 1 corner like that, that creates a kind of pressure on the stitch and stretches out this corner a bit more. And so even though it was just a chain 1 corner, it looks like kind of the same size as the other chain 2 corners, as those eyelets. If we had done a chain 2 in the corner, this would look bigger than your other corners, and it would just look different than your other corners. So for consistency, I think that looks nicest. If you're like, Dana, this is too much to remember, chain 2 in some corners, chain 1 in some corners, I cannot, that's fine too. You do you. All right, now, after double crocheting backwards into that corner, we're going to front post double crochet in the next stitch and back post double crochet in the one after that across. So that's probably sounding a little familiar. So let's find that first stitch there and do our front post double crochet. And in the next stitch, do our back post double crochet. And away we go. Now, you may have already noticed something a little different about working the stitch in the round versus in rows, and that, well, a couple things really. One, we need an odd number. Wow, I'm really splitting the stitches this time. One, we need an odd number along each edge instead of an even number in our rows of stitches. And then another difference is that this first, well, technically our second round. Our first round was single crochet. Our second round, though, is double crochet stitches But I made kind of a big deal about how row 1 in the pattern is in half double crochets. So why is this different? For some reason, I don't think the elongation is as noticeable or dramatic, or it doesn't matter so much because it's the border. And so why have a row of single crochet and a row of half double crochet before getting to our front post double crochets is all very complicated. And then here's one more difference. We began this row with a front post double crochet, other than our corner stitch. We worked our corner stitch, and then we began with a front post double crochet, and we're ending with a front post double crochet. That is how we're going to be working each round of the border. It makes our corners look super nice, which will be more obvious as we continue. So instead of doing front post, back post, front post, back post, and ending with the opposite, like we did in the body of the project, we're going to end with front post, front post. Like we're always going to be flanking it, front post, front post. Again, it'll be super obvious when we do a few more rounds how pretty it makes the corners look. All right, so we've reached our chain 2 corner, and in the corner we're going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, just like we did in the last round. You can hear the stitch markers rubbing against this white paper underneath. Hopefully it's not annoying. I guess I could try holding the project a little higher. Otherwise it could be some ASMR for you. You can let me know if you want, what your thoughts are on that. It's a very small thing. But anyway, all right, now we've worked into the corner, front post double crochet, and back post double crochet. Also, working the border in this way makes it only a 1 row repeat from here on out, even though our pattern in rows was a 2 row repeat. I'm sorry that my hands are kind of drifting off camera. I hope it's obvious at this point what you should be doing. If not, you can also let me know. I would love to help. I am here to help. So it's kind of cool how this stitch differs in the round, even though it's got the same appearance as it does in rows. All right, let's get to this next corner just to demonstrate that one more time, and then I'll meet you. We'll do that corner, and then I'll meet you at the start again. So we're getting close. Again, you'll know that you lost count somewhere or maybe put a stitch in the wrong spot if you don't end with your front post double crochet. All right, so here we are at the corner. Here's my front post double crochet in that stitch. And then once again in the corner, double crochet, chain 2. I'll move my marker up. Again, you might not find the markers necessary in the chain 2 corners because they're pretty obvious, but that is up to you. And then do that last double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the round. I'll meet you at the start. All right, so we're just about back at that starting corner. I did my last front post double crochet. If you just kind of tug on this a bit, you can see that chain space in the corner. So you'll do that last double crochet, chain 1 instead of a chain 2, and slip stitch join to that first stitch of the round without splitting it like I am. Oh no. All good. All right, so let's move on to round 4. In the pattern, we just do 5 rounds of the border. I'm not going to show all 5. I'll show this round and round 4 is already, it's just a repeat of round 3. So chain 1, double crochet backwards into this chain 1 space. So you'll again work backwards. That was a half double crochet. There we go. All right, and I'll move that marker. And it just takes the guesswork out. I know exactly where to slip stitch join if I mark the first stitch around. Don't have to think about it. Now we are repeating round 3 by working a front post double crochet into what was just my corner double crochet from the last round. And we'll work our back post double crochet into the front post double crochet from the last round. We'll push our front post double crochets back. We'll bring our back post double crochets forward, just like in the main body of the pattern. So work that first double crochet around. This is going to be an extra chunky stitch because of that, like chain 1 and then working backwards into the corner, but that's okay. Do that front post double crochet. Then here's the next stitch that we're working into. We're pushing that one backwards. All right. Front post double crochet into the back post double crochet, back post double crochet, oops, into the front post double crochet, and onward. All right. Actually, just going back here, you can see it almost looks like these stitches are like squished up next to each other, but you can isolate that very first double crochet of the round. So, all right, so let's just get to the corner and take a look again at how that looks a pinch different than last round. Still the same, like double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner, but I'll show you where we're working that last stitch. All right, so here's the last back post double crochet I'll do of the round. Then we're going to do a front post double crochet once again into what was the part of the corner stitch set from that last round. So front post double crochet into that last double crochet, then double crochet, chain 2, move your marker if you're using markers in your chain 2 corners, and do another double crochet. And then once again we're going to front post double crochet into what was a corner stitch from the previous round, and that sets you up to back post double crochet into the previous round's front post double crochet, and so on and so forth. So if we just take a look now, you can see, I'll hold this corner up so you can see how pretty that looks, how the V's kind of just point, well, I guess they point this way, right? But they nest so nicely into one another when we have this, the odd number of stitches, our corners all end up looking symmetrical with our V's, our post stitches going into each corner. and it creates just a lovely effect for this baby blanket. I feel like the swatch is not doing it justice, especially with the beautiful eyelets that form, but hopefully the photos in the beginning were super helpful. And of course, please feel free to go to the link to my blog that's in the YouTube description so that you can see some more finished photos of the blanket and decide for yourself if you would like to make it for a loved one who's expecting a baby around Christmas, or just for like a niece or nephew who is their first Christmas. It could be a baby's first Christmas blanket too. It doesn't just have to be a December baby or something. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you would like more tutorials for memorizable crochet baby blanket patterns, go ahead and like this video. That's helpful so other people can see it, but also subscribe to my channel so you can get notified whenever I have new videos. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and happy crocheting!